Hello, this is West Crow, and this is week 52 on the YouTube Pagan Challenge, and this is the last one, so hopefully I'm going to get this up before midnight, and I will be done. This week's question is, what have you learnt this year, and what are your spiritual or pagan goals for next year? Well, I'd like to sort of start off by saying I know everybody's had a pretty rough year. 2016 has been pretty rough on a lot of people, and just like in society as a whole, there's been some not so great things going on. But for me personally, it actually has been relatively decent. I got my tubal ligation in February, which basically means I got fixed, which is something I have wanted since I was a preteen. Finally, I was able to find a doctor to do it this past year in February, and it's been amazing. As soon as I woke up, I felt like a huge burden was lifted off my shoulders. I felt like I was able to trust my body a little bit more. I felt like I wasn't at war with my body as much anymore. And it's been awesome. I've been able to get off birth control, which means my hormones aren't all fucked up like they used to be. My skin's getting better, and everything's it's just so much better this way for me. It's something I've wanted to do since as soon as I realized that you could get it done. When my cats got fixed when I was 8 years old, I'm like, I want that. That's what I want to do. So yes, that was a high point in my year. That was amazing because it's something I've been wanting to get done for a couple of decades now. The other major thing this year was I started this channel. I wasn't really sure why I started this channel. I felt like it was just something I should try out. I didn't really know where I was going with it. Yeah, it was just something fun to do, something fun to try. I didn't really know how long I would go with it, and then the Pagan Challenge came out, and I figured I'd finish that out to the end, so that's me doing it now. After this, I have a few video ideas, like little craft sort of ideas, but nothing, I don't know, we'll see how far it goes after this, I don't know. Making this YouTube channel and making these videos, all the videos, not just the YouTube Pagan Challenge, but including the YouTube Pagan Challenge, has actually been more rewarding than I thought it would be. It's been like a friend, it's been like an outlet, somebody I could talk to about all this, pagan and witchy type stuff. Somebody I can share all my shit with. Like, I've been doing a ton of hauls, and it's somebody I can be like, hey, look what I got. Even though it's not necessarily like a two-way conversation, it's still me being able to talk about it. It's just been a really good outlet to talk about this stuff. Like, actually, not just like think about stuff in my head, but actually vocalize it out into the real world. And put some thoughts together on, like, for the YouTube Pagan Challenge. Actually sort of solidify some thoughts and re-examine some things, and that's been good. When I first started Wicca when I was a teenager, I didn't have a whole lot of money. Obviously I was a teenager. So whatever I got was usually like dollar store stuff, modified dollar store stuff. If that. Like, my first Athalme was a letter opener with a wrapped leather handle. I took art all through high school, so we did clay pots in high school every year. So I made a few things for myself that way. But for the most part, I didn't have too many tools. And then when we moved up north, I had to put most of my stuff in stores, so I didn't have any tools and whatnot. And up north, there's only 2 stores, and it's not like if I felt like making a craft of some sort, if I felt like painting, if I felt like drawing, I had to bring all that stuff from down south or ship it up, and shipping was really horrible to go up north. It was bad. So I just didn't. I didn't have any tools. I didn't go out and like make things unless I like wanted to plan a couple weeks in advance and order things up, and then it would cost more than just ordering the thing of whatever I wanted in the first place. So those were not options. And I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything, because those were never things that I needed for my spirituality, and they still aren't. But this year, I think I've sort of made up for that. But I can afford things that I couldn't afford when I was first starting out, and I can do things as like craft-wise and whatnot, journals and all the rest of it, that I couldn't do when I was up north. And I guess this year was just sort of like, oh wait, I can do all this now, and I'm going to do all this now. It's been fun, and it's been fun sharing it all, because half the fun of it is sharing what you got. So that's been a fun side of it this year. With that, I've gotten into crystals a little bit more. I've never been one to really be into crystals that much. I mean, I used to collect river rocks when I was a kid, but those weren't really crystals. And then I had my piece of peacock rock when I was a kid that I ended up losing. And then when I first started in Wicca, I had a few, like 5 or 6 clear quartz crystal points. And then a friend gifted me rose quartz, and that's pretty much most of what I had for crystals. I didn't feel the need to get into crystals. In fact, when I went to somebody else's house and they had a couple of crystals on their mantle, I would be sitting there going, oh yeah, that's a little bit, you know, that's a little hippy dippy, that's a little, and now they're like, they're not all contained in there. They're starting to spill out into the rest of my house, and I'm loving them. I didn't think I'd ever be that type of pagan that was really into crystals, and I'm finding I'm starting to get into them. So maybe this next year I will figure out where I'm going with that, start to learn a bit more about them and start to really get into them more. Maybe I'm going to go more that direction than in herbalism. I've been tinkering around with herbalism and growing some plants outside and slowly learning more in-depth properties of them rather than just like the basics. Maybe I just don't have a green thumb or something, I don't know. I'm kind of liking the crystals. I'm kind of thinking I'm going to end up going in that direction a little bit more than with herbs and whatnot. Not that I'm going to stop using them, but for energy work, I really like the crystals. So another positive thing that happened this year is I've been able to speak my mind a little bit easier. Like, it's just been coming out. I don't know if that's just because I'm in my 30s and that's just something that naturally happens, which could very well be. I had been in arguments where I've just said what I needed to say without getting angry about it, and then I was able to drop it and move on, and I felt good about it. That was amazing. Since I've realized that that's something I'm able to do now, I've actually had moments this year where I've just been sitting around and I've caught myself smiling, and I have not ever done that in my life. There's always been something I'm not saying that I've never smiled in my life, I'm saying there's always been something to trigger that smile. There's always been something to trigger a laugh or a happiness or whatever. But just sitting around smiling and feeling generally happy and decent, I've caught myself off guard a few times, and that's just completely not natural for me. And I don't know, maybe it's becoming natural. That would be awesome. But I've caught myself doing that a few times just in like the last couple months, and that's been amazing. It might not sound like a lot, it might not sound like a major change, but for me, it's a major change. And it's good change. I think through YouTube, watching more YouTube videos and whatnot, this year I've gotten a little bit more interested in the Morgan. So that might be something I look into a little bit more next year. I forget the name of the book that everybody keeps recommending on that, but I might end up picking up that book and having a read through it. I think I might even set up a working altar in this coming year and see how that goes with cats, if they'll let me keep one. I haven't had an altar, like a set up working altar that's not just like a temporary thing. I haven't had that for years, like probably close to a decade. I haven't had a permanently set up altar. So that would be something maybe to try this coming year if the cats will allow it to happen. We'll see. I guess one of my goals for like the last couple of years, and I'm going to carry it, I would carry it on through to this year as well, is just to be more me, if that makes any sense. It's always something that's changing and evolving, but I feel like the last year or so I've been able to be closer to that than I've ever been. So this year's been pretty decent for me the past year. I know it's been sort of shitty for the world in general, and a lot of people personally, it's been pretty shitty. A lot of people have been dying. It's weird, it almost seems like we're gearing up for something with all the people passing this past year. I know when I do make New Year's resolutions or ask something in general, I forget where I heard this piece of advice somewhere, an article somewhere or something, where basically it's the be careful what you wish for type of idea. It says something along the lines of, when you ask for something and you put it out to the universe's way of giving it to you is going to be, especially like on personal, emotional, not just like physical material things, but on a personal and emotional level, the way the universe gives you things is by teaching you things. And the way it teaches you things is by testing you. It just tests you until you start to get it. For example, if you want to be a stronger person, if you ask for strength, then the universe is going to start testing you. It's going to start testing you to see how strong you can be. It's going to, and show you how strong you can be. It's not just going to magically, you're going to feel like a stronger person. It's going to, you're asking to be stronger, so you're going to have events in your life to amplify that, to show you that. The idea of being a stronger person sounds like a very positive thing, and it is a positive thing, but it's not something you get without some struggle. And that can go for other things. Like if you ask for more love in your life, well then expect for your own personal love for others to be tested. And what are you capable, how far are you capable of sharing that love? Basically, the universe is giving you opportunities to grow in these areas that you're asking for. And with that all in mind, this past year and how crappy it's been for some people, and I'm not like, I've had some pretty crappy years. I'm feeling like this is sort of like this past year has been my leveling out time. I'm sure I'll have crappy years to come. There always will be. But it seems like that's been going on this year for everybody, and maybe again it sort of feels like we're maybe gearing up for something. Or at least you like to hope that all this shit that's been going on, that there's a reason for it. You like to hope that there's a reason for it. You like to hope that there's something that's going to come of it in the end, that it's not just all for naught. But I'm kind of getting those little red flags coming up that when people are talking about what's been going on with them, or just the world in general, that something's coming up. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what 2017 has to offer. I'm hoping for more of personally how I've developed this year. It feels like everything has started to fall into place. Everything I've been working on, all the struggles I've been working on, all the logical things are finally starting to manifest into emotional, deep down core things. And I hope 2017 continues on with that. Hopefully it won't be as bad as we're dreading it's going to be politically and worldwide. But if it is, it'll strengthen us. The silver lining is that it will strengthen us. But hopefully there'll be good things to celebrate this year. So yeah, I guess that's it for the YouTube Pagan Challenge. And pretty much it for this year. Another couple more hours till midnight. So I hope everybody has a great New Year's Eve and great 2017 coming up. Bye.